Alright, hello and welcome to Squidreviews, where I am today on the 20th of December 2014 about to review Scrolls. Scrolls is a new game made by Mojang, the creators of Minecraft. It launched December 12th, which was the same week as Goblins vs. Gnomes, a rather popular Hearthstone expansion. So there hasn't been much coverage of the title just yet, so that's why I figured I'd review it. So let's dive right in, take a look at the settings in the game. Supports a bunch of resolutions, full screen options, an audio slider for SFX volume and music, and it looks like you can disable chat message sound, chat highlight sound, pause the music when the game goes into the background, and something called upgraded scroll visuals, and a chat profanity filter. And as you can see, the game does have spectator support, and you can block spectators from watching your games or block them from seeing the chat. And then you can select the battlefield upon which you play the actual games of Scrolls. Another thing to note with Scrolls is that it is a $5 title, and it has some microtransaction elements. You can buy shards, 600 shards for 4.5 euros, 1,350 shards for 9 euros, and 2,900 shards for 18 euros. So convert that into your own regional equivalent. But you don't use these shards for the basic scroll packs in the game, which are the main means of actually getting scrolls. What you can actually spend the shards on are a random selection of scrolls in the so-called Just For You section of the store, and it looks like these scrolls are refreshed every 24 hours. And we can see here that you are displayed two variants of every rarity. So these are commons, these are uncommons, and they cost 60 shards or 500 gold, as opposed to the 100 gold and 25 shards of commons. And finally we have the rare cards that cost 1000 gold and 120 shards. And you can see the rarity by looking at the border of the card. We see that the rare cards have a more frayed look, and I do believe that the border of the art is golden in the rare cards, as opposed to the uncommons, which have a silver border, slightly less frayed edge, and the commons have a copper or iron border and even more basic scroll edge. Other than that, there are pre-constructed decks, and I believe these are themed around a particular deck archetype or strategy, and you get 50 scrolls in them. But you can once again buy them for gold as well as shards. So there's nothing in this game that is exclusively only purchasable with the in-game pay-for currency. And there's also avatar pieces that you can buy in group and then combine however you wish. I'll actually show that off right now. So this is a standard avatar. I have now a beta head that was awarded since I purchased this game while it was in open beta. You can go in here and change up any part of your body. You have the heads, the arms, the torso, the legs, and then the whole set, which I believe switches you back and forth between the female and male color avatar. The game also supports achievements. These are basically progress achievements that you get as you play the games, as well as certain goal achievements that you can only get by actually aiming for them. such as the bunny achievements, which requires you to play a game and winning it with bunnies, which I believe is a rather poor card in this game. And you do get 100 gold for each achievement completed. So this is quite relevant when it comes to the fact that Scrolls has shards, so it does have a microtransaction currency. You do gain a lot of gold in the game from both achievements and then another PvE feature called Trials. But before I get to the Trials, I'll just take a look at the other options that single player offers. You have numerous tutorials, and I believe each one of these also awards 200 gold for completing. So you basically get 200, 400, 600, 800, 1000, that's enough for a pack, 1200, 1400, 1600, 1800, 2000 gold, 2200 gold just from completing the tutorials. You then have the skirmish option, which is the AI of the game. You have an easy, a medium, and a hard AI. And you gain a fair amount of gold playing and winning against the AI. And finally, and this is where the meat of the game exists, it's the trial mode. So we're going to skip these random trials for now. You have a bunch of trials. I believe there are over 50 of them at the moment, might be less, and they range from easy trials to very hard trials. And each trial is a kind of scenario. So for example, we have Ease trial, and it says your opponent starts with an Earthborn Keeper. And they come in a lot of fun varieties. The trials are easily one of the best parts of the game. And they net you a really decent amount of gold. I believe the easy trials will give you about 300, 400 gold, whereas the hard trials can give you up to 1000 gold for completing them. But in addition to these constructed trials by the developers, there is a random trial system. You get a daily easy trial, a daily medium trial, and a daily hard trial. And these are completely randomized, so you never know what you get every day. And as you can see, they provide you with a fair amount of gold. The basic gold level is 200 for easy, 400 for medium, and 600 for hard. So let's go back to the shop quickly and take a look. The scroll pack here is the kind of best way of getting scrolls, and it gives you 10 scrolls picked randomly from all the factions in the game. So that costs 1000 gold, which is basically completing the hard and the medium trial. So you can buy yourself 10 cards a day just from the free trials that the game offers you. But there are other options as well. You can buy random scrolls, and I'm just going to buy one to show you how it looks. One pops up, and I got an uncommon. And this is a decay common spell. It removes enchantments and effects from a target unit, and that increases its countdown by 1. And you might not know what countdown is just yet, and I'm going to show you that first. So there are 4 factions in the game: Decay, Order, Growth, and Energy. And I believe you can mix and match these factions into multi-resource decks. So by now you're probably wondering what the game looks like. So let me just show you that. By heading into the deck builder. Being a TCG, you not only collect cards, you also put them together into decks. Now this might look very daunting for a new player, but there are numerous search options that allows you to search for creatures, structures, spells, enchantments, and more. There are basically 4 types of cards in the game, and I'm gonna go over them one by one. You have creatures. And structures. And these are both units. So you just keep that term in mind, and I'm going to come back to it in a bit. Then there are spells. Which you just play, works pretty much like in every other TCG. And finally enchantments. And you put them on the units. So the structures or the creatures. So let's jump into a game and explain some more. So as you might have noticed, I have been playing this game for quite a while, so I have a bunch of decks. But I'm going to show you how to build a deck after this first practice game. Alright, so we start the game on a board. And there are 15 tiles on each side. This is my side. And this is my opponent's side. And you get 5 starting cards in hand. And what you do in this game is that you can sacrifice a card for either a resource or 2 new cards. And that is essentially the way that ramping in the game works. Other games have different approaches. For example, Hearthstone gives you a mana every turn. So this resource here is the equivalent of a mana. Only you have to pay for that mana by sacrificing a card. Games such as Magic the Gathering online, or not online, will give you mana cards, mana lands, so you have to play, and then you tap those mana lands in order to play your cards. So this is almost like a mix between the two. I sacrifice this card and I permanently get a resource. And now I have 1 decay. So I can play a 1-costed decay scroll. And that can be either a creature, a spell, enchantment, or a structure. But I have here a creature in hand. And I'm going to take a look at it and explain what all these numbers actually mean. At the very top is the creature cost. We see the symbol that denotes what resource you need in order to pay for it. And we see the numerical value which denotes how much of that resource you need. It's 1 decay. It's a ripper, it's a creature, and the creature has a subtype here after the colon, and it's human. And this is of relevance because some cards will specify humans and have a different effect if humans are in play or are played. And now are a couple of numbers that you might recognize. We see an attack value, he has 2 attack. We see a health value, he has 2 health. But Scrolls also has a third value that I don't think is found in any other TCG. This is the countdown value. And I'll play this card to show you what it means. Okay, we have a little fella on the board right now. She has a countdown of 2 and a base countdown of 2. If I press the end turn button now, the turn will pass over to my opponent. He will do the same, and then the turn is passed back to me. And as you can see, her countdown has counted down 1. She's now at 1 countdown. And when she reaches 0 countdown, she will travel forward, as you can see by the highlighted rows of tiles before her, and she will attack whatever is in her way, whether that is a unit that our opponent is playing on either of these 3 tiles, or this thing, the idol. The goal of the game is to take down 3 of your opponent's idol. And you do that by attacking them or playing spells or enchantments that will indirectly deal damage to them. And that is essentially the game of Scrolls. You can also move around your units, but only if they are a creature or you've put an enchantment on them that allows them to move around. You can generally do this once per turn. So this Ripper here, I'm going to move her forward. There we go. And I've sacrificed a card, or a scroll as they are called in this game, for a second decay resource. But I don't have anything in hand to play, so I'm just going to end my turn, wait for the opponent to play, and the turn is passed back to me, and there we go. She's now glowing, her countdown value is at 0, and that means that she'll be able to attack. So what I'm going to do here, I think I'm going to play another creature. We have a Harvester here in hand. And the Harvester has, as you might have noticed, a bunch of text down here in this empty area. It has what's called a trait. And traits are keywords for lengthy rules. In this case, it has a Relentless. When a Relentless unit destroys another unit, it keeps attacking with its remaining attack value. That means that if the Harvester was placed here, and it attacked forward, and our opponent had placed a unit here, for example, with 2 health, the Harvester would deal 2 damage to that 2 health unit, destroying it, and then it would continue attacking forward, dealing 6 attack now, to whatever is remaining in the way. And it would continue to do so until it hits the idol, or its attack value has gone down. So we are gonna put it out on the field and take another look at it. It has 8 attack, which is a bunch, but it also has 5 countdown and 4 health. And the reason it has 5 countdown is because of its ability. It does not count down normally, so it does not count down at the beginning of every turn as this Ripper was doing. Instead, whenever a creature is destroyed, the Harvester's countdown is decreased by 1. And there's also really neat lore text here. So we put her down and we hope for our opponent to play a creature so that we can kill it and count down our Harvester. And then we pass the turn over to our opponent. And he does nothing. So I'm just going to continue like this, sacrificing for resources, putting down creatures. And now it might be time to sacrifice a card in our hand for 2 new cards. So we do that, and we get 2 new cards, and we have here another creature, which has a description. When a creature adjacent to Ilmar Rot-Eater is destroyed, the Ilmar Rot-Eater gets +1 attack and +1 health. And that seems really powerful. There's a lot of creatures and structures like this that actually take advantage of the fact that there's a game board in play. So I need to make sure that all my creatures surrounds this Rot-Eater. So if any of them die, the Rot-Eater will get a buff. And then I pass the turn. And it looks like my opponent played a gun automaton. And I believe this is a temporary art for it. It has a Christmas art. It being a gift box. You can turn off all the stats by pressing Control. Just take a closer look at the relatively beautiful graphics, I think. It's really neat pixel art. They're all actually moving, breathing. But when you're actually playing the game, you kind of need these stats up to see what you're facing. Now I have nothing attacking this turn, so there's nothing really to do but to potentially sacrifice for resources. If I do that, I'll get 1 step closer to this beefy guy, an Ilmar Witch Doctor. It's a 6-cost decay creature, human subtype, 4 attack, 2 countdown, and 5 health, and he has a ranged attack. So it will basically shoot a projectile instead of running forward and attacking. When a human creature adjacent to Ilmar Witch Doctor is destroyed, a husk is summoned in its place. So you see now why it matters what subtype a creature might have. And we can click on this highlighted word to find out what a husk is. It's a creature 3 attack, 3 countdown, and 2 health. So that's good to know. So we're gonna work towards it, and we're gonna move up all our creatures. So this way, if our opponent creature moves away, we can follow it wherever he goes. And then we end turn and pass it over to him. There we go. We can play our Witch Doctor. And I make sure that the humans are adjacent to it. And we pass turn again. So we're going to continue like this until we can take down 3 of our opponent's idols. Here is a structure. Now structures, they are more utility focused. They give buffs or debuffs, or they work as walls. This particular structure has the subtype totem, which is generally associated with buffs or debuffs. Cost 4 decay, it doesn't attack, it has 0 attack. It doesn't have a countdown, which means that its effect is always in play, and it has 4 health. Whenever a non-revenant creature you control is destroyed, a revenant is summoned adjacent to Anima Conduit, and Anima Conduit is dealt 1 pure damage. So let's click here and find out what this actually means. A revenant is a 2/1/1 ward creature, which is destroyed after attacking. So whenever a creature that isn't a revenant dies, we get a revenant. And pure damage is damage that cannot be reduced or increased. There are traits in this game that will increase damage dealt by creatures, that will reduce damage dealt by creatures, and there are traits that will reduce damage dealt by spells or enchantments. So we know that we can't reduce this damage in any way, but we'll play it anyway. And we make sure that the tiles adjacent to it are left open, so that it can summon revenants on the adjacent tiles. And then we put our Ripper in front of the Witch Doctor to create a blocker, and we pass the turn. And we're just going to continue sacking for scrolls, and we get here one of the big spells in the game. Necrogeddon, and it's a really expensive spell. It costs 7 decay. You sacrifice all the creatures you control on the board, so that's just creatures. Your structures will remain intact, and every creature sacrificed this way is replaced by a husk with countdown 0. So we know that the Witch Doctor creates husks. It's a 3/3/2, so it has relatively high countdown value initially if it was played as a creature, but from the spell it gets 0 countdown, which is pretty neat. So next turn we're going to play it, and we're going to find out what a husk actually is. And it looks like we can destroy one of our opponent's idols. The Ripper will deal 2 damage, the Witch Doctor will deal 4 damage, and the Rot Eater will deal 3 damage. So these two alone, the Witch Doctor and the Ripper, which I just now noticed has a little Christmas artification going on at the moment. These two will deal 6 damage, which means that I can move away my Rot Eater to deal damage to another idol. So I'll actually do that, to make sure that no damage is wasted. And then I'll play another Rot Eater. There we go. Our opponent plays a spell of his own, Inferno Blast. It's a destruction spell, costs 3 energy, and this is one of the 4 resources or factions in the game. It deals 1 magic damage to target tile and adjacent tile. So magic damage is reduced by magic resistance, but will ignore armor and curse. And I believe that armor and curse will only apply to damage dealt by creatures, physical damage. But we now, I believe, have a victory in hand. Because if we play Necrogeddon, every single creature will be replaced by a 3 attacking creature. So down here we will have 9 attack going out, and up here we can also have 9 attack going out. meaning that we can take out this idol and we can take out this idol. So let's do that and take a look at this effect. Okay, it looks like the Anua conduit spawned the revenants before the Necrogeddon. So it looks like I'm not getting the full attack right there. Okay, that's fine. I guess we'll just have to wait until these guys count down next turn. But we'll take out this idol. Let's see if we can do something like that. There we go. So that's one idol down, two idols down actually in total. I just need to take down one final idol in order to win this game. And I think I can do that by playing another Necrogeddon. So let's just do that. But it looks like I'm getting more evidence. Now that's fine, I have access to an idol down here. So it might pay to learn out the intricacies of the game when it comes to spell, effect, activation order and all that jazz, but it doesn't matter, we won the game. And that is how a game of Scrolls will play out. Now that was versus the easy AI. You can play against other players casually in the quick match option. There is a ranked ladder of the game. If we go to the front page, we'll actually see the top 100 players. And this little icon next to their name indicates that you can actually spectate them. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Okay. And there's even a chat, so we can see what they are saying, and we can talk with other people who are spectating. Alright, that looks good. Let's move on. There's also a drafting mode in the game. It costs 800 gold to enter, or 120 shards. I believe it might be 60 shards, I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Yep, it's 120 shards. And it's kind of like the arena mode in Hearthstone. If you get 0 wins total, you get 100 in gold and 1 common. If you get 1 win, you get 250 gold, 1 common and 1 uncommon. 2 wins, 500 gold. 2 commons, 1 rare. 3 wins, 1000 gold. 2 commons, 1 uncommon and 1 rare. 4 wins, you get 1500 gold. 2 commons, 1 uncommon, 2 rares. And at 5 wins, you will get 2500 gold. You will get 2 commons, 1 uncommon and 3 rares. So if that rare is valued at 1000 gold, you're essentially winning here 5000 plus gold from 5 wins. And let's actually build ourselves a deck and show off the victory swing. So these are the scrolls that I picked when I built my deck. And you get to pick a scroll to keep from the selection of scrolls. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pick Wicked Being. It's an enchantment, costs 1 decay, and has Unstable 2. When Wicked Being is destroyed, it deals 2 damage to your opponent's idol on the same row. And then I have another common to pick. I'm just gonna pick this fella. It's a beefy growth creature, another of the 4 factions in the game. It's a beast, 5 attack, 2 countdown, so it attacks every other turn, and 5 health. And it has the trait Flying. It can move to any tile on the board, but if that tile is not adjacent to Gusty Azure, its countdown is increased by 1. So we'll pick that. And now we can pick any scrolls. And I believe this does include rares. So let's see if we can find a rare. There we go. The Great Wolf. 5 growth. Creature, beast, wolf subtypes. 3 attack, 2 countdown, 5 health. It has a relentless, like that harvester creature in the previous game. And Great Wolf gets +1 attack for each other wolf you control. So again we see synergies with the subtypes in the game. Kind of like the tribal synergies in Hearthstone. I'm gonna pick this. And we get 500 gold, 3 cards. So we basically earned back the entry fee to the Judgment mode in the first place, which was 800 gold. And the Great Wolf is essentially worth 1000 gold. So we're going to collect the reward. And then we are going to enter the Judgment again. Alright, so this is how it works as opposed to Arena and Scrolls. You have 4 rows. These can be of any color. So you can end up with multi-resource decks, mixing and matching different factions together. But you also see the rows coming up in the future. You get 2 upcoming rows coming up here. So we know here we get a really powerful looking rare from the energy faction. But coming up here we don't see anything energy. So we might want to go for something non-energy in the top row. And then you pick your card and you continue until you have 45 cards in total. And then you trim down those 45 cards to 30 cards, which you then enter into a little Judgment ladder with. You get matched up against other players who have Judgment decks, and you either win or you lose. After 2 losses, you're out. 5 wins, you get those rewards I was talking about. And that's how Judgment works, more or less. It looks like there's like a tips and tricks section, but that takes you to an external website, which is academy.scrollsguide.com, and I think it has a bunch of guides and various tips to help out new players. We have a spectate kind of menu here that allows us to see every player in the game currently playing, and we can jump in and watch any of these games. We also see what mode they are playing. So this guy is playing Judgment, this guy is playing Ranked, and so on. And I think you can also start spectating people in your friend list by just clicking on them if you see they are in a match, and then clicking Spectate. You can also look at the profiles of other players in this fashion, and look at their achievements, see how many games they have played, games they have won, ranked games they have won, Judgment games they have won, the very last game they have played, the number of scrolls in their collection, the unique types of scrolls in the collection, essentially how many of the scrolls they have collected. There is 360 scrolls in the game at the moment. And it looks like Mojang are going for 2 major set releases per year. Each set has so far been 60 scrolls. So in 2015 we might see another 120 scrolls. And then the rarity breakdown and how much gold this player has. Let's go back to the store again. So in addition to this basic store here, there is a black market, which I believe functions as an auction house in scrolls. You can buy scrolls here, you can sell scrolls, you can see how many of the scrolls you own, how many people are selling at the moment. You can buy scrolls of different crafting tiers, and I'm gonna get into crafting in just a bit. And then you can do numerous searches, like you can put in type, and then put in whatever type you want to see. So creatures. These are all creatures. And there might be a way to put in the faction, but I have no idea. Well, yes, scrolls also have a crafting system in place. It's very simple though. essentially all it does is give your card a different kind of foil effect. So this is a basic card. Take 3 of these cards, put them down here in these 3 slots, and you will end up with 1 tier 2 scroll. And this scroll will start tracking stats. So you can see here, statistics. There is nothing on there. There's an owner's history, but I haven't actually played this card, ever, I think. And all it does, it gives it a gold border. That's it. But if you take 3 of these, so that's 9 basics, 3 tier 2s, put them down in here, you get a tier 3 scroll. And it has a rainbow effect going on that shimmers and sparkles like that. And it also tracks stats. Let's see if... Oh, it looks like it's bugged up a bit. There we go. Yeah, so you can see how many matches it's been in, how many times I've played them in those matches, how many wins I have with this card, how many times I've sacrificed this card for either resources or other cards in the game, and how much damage it has dealt. And I believe that drawing these tier 3 crafted scrolls in a match will give you a small gold boost. But that's it, it doesn't actually have any in-game effect. So crafting is primarily a gold sink in the game. So yeah, let's take a look again at the deck builder. You have numerous resource filters here for each of the 4 factions. Looks like there's a stat option, so let's load up a deck. There we go. We can see the quantity of scrolls at each resource cost. We can see if we have a multi-resource deck, whether or not we have energy scrolls in there, or order scrolls in there, or decay scrolls in there. And how many of each type: creatures, structures, enchantments, and spells. So that can come in really handy. We can see the curve here, it's pretty decent. You can save deck. You can also export a text string that several sites, fan sites at the moment support. So you can paste in this into their fan sites and save the decks. And you can similarly import decks by clicking load, clicking here, and then pasting in the encoded deck string. But there's no actual in-game support for this feature. You have to go through some fan site. And I believe that pretty much covers it. Oh yeah, there's also a demo version available for scrolls. And essentially in the demo version, you are limited to 2 of the tutorials. You can only play against, I believe, easy and medium AI. Might just be easy, so don't quote me on that. You can only play the easy daily trial, but none of the other constructed trials. You can play as many quick matches as you want, but you can't play ranked matches and you can't play judgment matches. Furthermore, you cannot customize your avatar. And I'm not sure you can even craft scrolls. But you can use a deck builder, you can even go to the store and buy scrolls, and you can earn gold. And when you then upgrade from the demo version, which costs $5, or your regional equivalent, you then get to keep all the scrolls and all the gold that you have collected. So I would definitely recommend taking a look at this game through the demo, which is now available on PC, Mac and Android tablets. And I believe that next year scrolls will come out for iOS users as well. So I believe this is the first that Android users are getting a game before the iOS users, which is pretty interesting. And I would actually give this game a score of 4 out of 5 squids, because it is pretty much a complete game. But it does have some flaws at the moment. While there is a ton of PvE content to go through, the PvP content is a bit lacking. There's not a lot of players in the ranked match and judgment queues. And the games are still pretty slow, which can be pretty annoying if you have places to be and you only have time for a quick 10-minute game. But other than that, it's a pretty decent game, and I would definitely recommend you to check out the demo. If you like TCGs, I would outright recommend you to just buy the game right now, because it's only $5, and there's no grindiness in the game. You get a ton of gold just doing fun things. You don't need to buy shards, so it's not like Hearthstone where you have to pay $50, $60 every time they update the game. And I've had fun with it. I bought this game when it was $20 in beta, and I think that it was even worth it back then, but only if you're a TCG player. Now at $5, it's worth for everyone to check out, and if you're a TCG player, it's a must-buy. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully do some more reviews in the future.